Eddie Hearn says Jermall Charlo is not the WBC champion. It's Canelo Alvarez, although he admits that he doesn't know anything about what he's talking about. This dude never quits. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, man. So I felt like torturing myself a little bit this morning. So I actually listened to an Eddie Hearn interview, and he was asked by a website who shall remain nameless what he thought about Jermall Charlo's status as the WBC champion. And he also asked about Deontay Wilder and what would happen when Deontay Wilder became the franchise champion. Okay, let me tell you what I'm going to tell you. Eddie Hearn has no clue what he's talking about. He obviously didn't read what the WBC actually did, and he just started bumping his lips in a way that would make Jermall Charlo look bad, but didn't realize that the exact same thing he said about Jermall Charlo applies to Demetrius Andrade. Now, let's go through it. Eddie Hearn says he doesn't know anything about what this franchise thing is, but he's got to look more into it. But Jermall Charlo is not the WBC champion. Canelo Alvarez is, because Jermall Charlo never beat a champion. First and foremost, the WBC champion is Jermall Charlo. And I've said this on multiple videos, and I'm going to keep saying it because there's a lot of people out there in the boxing world that want to talk, but don't want to take about 3 minutes to actually read what the rule says. Canelo Alvarez was in effect stripped of his title by the WBC for not fighting his mandatory, and he was given a label of franchise champion. Label. It's not anything that can be won in the ring or lost in the ring. It's just a label that avoided the practical effect of which it avoided them saying that they stripped him and allow him to charge sanctioning fees. But the WBC championship was defended last Saturday in Houston in a fight between Jermall Charlo and Brandon Adams. But let's get to the fact that, because I do agree, there's one thing I did not like about this, and I've said this in other videos, I'm gonna keep saying it until at least the people who listen to my channel understand my viewpoint on it. They should have let that fight that belt be on the line initially in the fight with Jermall Charlo and Brandon Adams, instead of just elevating Jermall Charlo to the championship, because the optics on that could confuse. The optics could confuse, but the written rule is very, very clear. Jermall Charlo's the champion. He didn't fight for a vacant belt. He was given the championship, and then he defended it against Brandon Adams. So why do I say that's the exact same thing that happened with Demetrius Andrade? Because Demetrius Andrade won his title. He won a vacant title. He's never beaten a champion, ever, in his entire career. Just like Eddie Hearn said about Jermall Charlo not beating a champion, that's what happens every time there's a vacant belt. But this isn't just the first time Demetrius Andrade won a vacant belt. This is the second time he's won a vacant belt. This time he won his vacant belt. He won his vacant belt against a guy named Walter Kunatagwa. The vacant belt. The vacant WBO belt that came after what happened? Why would he be the WBO belt champion? Billy Joe Saunders got stripped. So Demetrius Andrade got the belt because Billy Joe Saunders got stripped. Not because he beat Billy Joe Saunders or Billy Joe Saunders he didn't beat a champion, somebody that beat Billy Joe Saunders. He won a vacant belt. But he also, his only other title that he's had in his career was also a vacant belt. When he beat, what was this guy's name, man? I got it. Vanis Martirosyan. He beat Vanis Martirosyan for another vacant WBO belt back in 2013. So this is the 2 times where Demetrius Andrade won a title by not beating a champion and became the champion. So why isn't what's good for the goose good for the gander? Eddie, once again, he bops his lips about stuff. It doesn't matter if he even would have understood it. And I'd have a suspicion that he understood it. I say a lot of things about Eddie Hearn. He's a lot of things. Compulsive liar, genuinely, a kind of flopping in the United States, but he's not dumb. He's not dumb. He knows that dude is the WBC champion. As far as Deontay Wilder, though, and Dillian White, I think Eddie Hearn also said that he doesn't want the franchise. He doesn't want to be handed the WBC belt when they make Deontay Wilder the franchise champion. Why would they be making Deontay Wilder the franchise champion? Did Deontay Wilder not fight his mandatory? Did Deontay Wilder decide to drop a belt like Canelo Alvarez did? Instead of fighting either Bermane Stiverne or Dominic Breazeale, did Deontay Wilder drop his belt? No. So did they have any need to create some new designation for him so that they can keep getting paid off sanction fees off his fight? I suspect. And it's a business. So, they got to pay their bills. The people on the payroll. I don't got a problem with that. Hey, man, there's a lot worse things going on in boxing. No, they don't, because he fought his mandatory. Canelo didn't fight his mandatory, and that's why he got stripped. Canelo got stripped for not fighting his mandatory. Just like Billy Joe Saunders got stripped from PEDs. Canelo Alvarez didn't get stripped for PEDs. He got suspended for PEDs. He got suspended by Las Vegas, then he got stripped. Now, although we like Canelo, I like Canelo. I love watching him fight in the ring. I think he's a terrific fighter. But let's call it like it is. Call it like a TI is. This is just a designated nation and the guy got stripped. And there's nothing that is going to be applicable to this in the case of Deontay Wilder. Ironically enough, though, I wouldn't have been surprised if the WBA had done something like that for Anthony Joshua when Eddie Hearn back in July of 2017, in June of 2017, said, hey man, if you try to make me fight a mandatory against Luis Ortiz, maybe I'll just drop the belt. Remember that? Remember when he did that? Maybe I'll just drop the belt. And then when Luis Ortiz had some high blood pressure medicine or whatever it was that seemed to violate the rules, but then the WBC said didn't violate their rules, so they didn't suspend him. The WBA approved a petition from Eddie Hearn and Anthony Joshua to get him stripped so he wouldn't have to fight that mandatory. So, I don't think Eddie Hearn has to worry about that from Deontay Wilder. He would have to worry about that more if Oscar De La Hoya was the manager of Andy Ruiz, because then maybe they would get some funny business going on. So look, man, I just find this guy, Eddie Hearn, to be like one laugh after another. Not a laugh. It's actually kind of sad from a boxing fan perspective. I know what he's doing. Matter of fact, I actually watched on Sunday, I watched the fight with Demetrius Andrade versus Selecki. Selecki was absolutely positively outclassed, like ridiculously outclassed. But he went, man, who was he? Who's Selecki? Who's he? That's another non-champion. Another guy that's never been a champion that Demetrius Andrade has beat. Matter of fact, if I look, I doubt, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think the Demetrius Andrade has ever fought even an ex. I don't think the dude's even fought an ex-world champion. Unlike Jermall Charlo, who did beat champions at 154. He beat Cornelius Bundridge. He beat Austin Trout. He beat guys that were former world title holders. And that's something that Demetrius Andrade hasn't done to date. But anyway, it is what it is. Let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.